Hello everyone, Sean Shumway here with Authentic Arising, and it's time for another reading. My intuitions came to me, said there are messages to offer, and so that's what this is going to be about. As those of you seeing this on my Facebook page may have seen the post I put up recently, there's a whole slew of astrological shifts and transformative energies coming through this time in December. And it is December the 8th, and these messages, they will, to a certain degree, they will extend beyond this, but they are most relevant, most potent for the period from now until about 2 weeks to the time of the new moon and of the winter solstice. I'll be doing a reading at that time as well for the solstice and over the season of winter and the coming period then, and one a little bit later in the month for 2026. And that will be general messages, and there will also be sign-specific messages for your astrology. So be sure to tune into there. But without further ado, let's tune in and see what needs to come through now for this messages of this time, from this period from December 8th, or possibly tomorrow when you're seeing this. Most potent for the next 2 weeks, and extending beyond that in a more general sense. Just taking a moment to ground, tune in, open, allow myself to be the vessel of the messages that need to come through. Okay, and I am feeling called to pull some cards in a bit, but first there was just some more direct intuitive information coming in, and there was an uplifting energy coming through that we've been dealing with a lot. There is a lot of course, big world things happening, but we've had a period of personal heaviness. Some may be going through it now, maybe recently, but there's a general bit of ease now in the energy, an upliftment, as I tune in for the right words, sigh of relief. We're in a little bit of a peace period now, when we can kind of reassess, integrate, take in what we've learned, and get ready for the next wave, because that is the flow of life. So in this peaceful, still space, this sigh of relief, this grounded experience, and for this session, I'll be pulling from the Psychic Tarot of the Heart Oracle deck. What needs to come through at this time? This period, extending in a general way beyond, but most potent from now until the new moon and going into the solstice. Okay, so I'm starting here. And first, For any of you that were on my recent live stream, you've seen this one already. This one seems to be coming a lot, but it's a major theme right now. Moving on. This continues on with that intuitive message that came through, that we really have come to peace with things, and now we're fully in this energy of moving on. Like, we are in the journey of moving on in a very self-assured way. It's like, yep, that is over and done with, and here I am, me, standing tall, ready to walk. You know, I can feel really the figure there, the guy, standing in a very tall, proud, sort of contemplative way, saying, you know, just reflecting on his past journey with pride, with integration, with empowerment. And that's the space we find ourselves in now, carrying forward with that. The steps are very confident. We can see the footprints there. They're well defined. They're well planted footsteps moving forward with clear direction. And there is still an unknown to the future, but a confidence in self, a clear direction that it is time to move on, wherever that may lead. And then the scene of the beach, the water is standing out very prominently to me too. And that's telling me that water in an elemental sense speaks to the intuition, the emotion, the feminine, that deep, mysterious side of self. So as we're in this period of moving on, really open to what that tells us, whether that be in your just general intuitive sense. Dreams may be a very, very big piece coming in right now. Yeah, and as I say that, that's hitting really hard. See what comes in your dreams. As you're doing this work of moving on, the dreams are going to show you what internal pieces, the mental, emotional wounds, blockages, places where you can take the wisdom of your past experience that you're moving on to and apply to yourself to offer more grace, compassion, and love. First of all, to those internal spaces where they're most needed. So you may then find that space of compassionate boundaries in relation to the world around you and the people that you know and that you meet. Particularly in these next 2-week periods, as we're all navigating with the winter holidays and those familial and personal interactions, what they can bring up for us. And as we all know, they can be joyful, but there can be some loadedness with that as well. So really find that intuitive piece, see what your dreams tell you about the work that needs to be done, so you can really stand in that place as you make those moves forward and in those encounters. And then we're coming over to the second card that was pulled. There's the card New Vitality, but it came reversed. Looking like that. Guy playing that pan flute and lots of colors come out across the chakra spectrum. Okay, so this is a 1 card, as we see. And in numerology, the 1 is all about new beginnings. It is also about coming back to the self, the exact work we were seeing in this last card. You can see really clearly why these two came up together. And what this is telling us, this new vitality, is there is a new beginning, a new sense of power, a direction, a stronger sense of self, a groundedness, a presence that is available. But there's work to do. That's what the reversed is telling us, that it hasn't quite come into full being yet, and we need to work through things. And that's why I was moved to see the colors there. I could have said the rainbow, but this is telling us there are specific ways to do up the chakra column. You know, look into our root and to see what fears there are. Look into the sacrum, to the sacral region, our creative center, where are we holding guilt? The solar plexus, where is there shame that is holding our will? Judgment that is blocking the heart. Repression of the speech. Doubting of our vision. Connection to that which is beyond. And as I'm tuning into the energy more, I'm getting, for a lot of the people hearing this, that 2nd and 3rd chakra area is going to be very, very important. That 2nd, that goes back to that water space. The element of the 2nd chakra is water. So again, see what that emotional flow, see what that intuition, see what those dreamscapes tell us around. Where are we not giving ourselves the emotional nurturance? Where are we repressing our creativity, our intuitive flow? Some more coming in here. Again, and coming back to that, you know, our, in particular, that 2nd chakra space, you know, that's among other things, that sexuality, and we can expand that to a wider space and say creative energies and our desires. You know, we can have a lot of unease around our sense of desires, but they can actually be a great point for us to lead us, and not to let them grab us and drag us along, but just to take a step back and say, what am I being pointed to? What is my true greatest passion? What is the real deep layer of that? You know, am I really seeking connection? Am I really seeking authentic expression? We all are in some way. That's the root of everything. That is why my business is Authentic Arising. But anyway, and then let's talk a little bit about that will center, that 3rd chakra. You know, there's going to be a space of, what is this? This is coming in. We're going to be shown our capability, our power. For those of us that hold doubt around that, there's going to be situations coming up that externally look like challenges. But as we move through those, we will learn to see our power, what we are truly capable of, because we are capable of so much more than what we know. And this will give us the lived example, the lived experience to see that power in action. And by that, we can ground that down into our foundational space and really know it, believe it, integrate that into our way of being, And that will feed that new vitality. Feeling a little bit moved as even me giving this reading and stepping into my purpose is bringing this energy up for me in a very personal way. So anybody out there who pulls and ever feels called to do work for other people, always remember there's something in it for you as well. Anything else from this card? Anything else from the new vitality or these messages altogether? Okay, time to pull some more. Back to that same deck. Feels like we're going to get a little bit more clarity on what this started with. For this portion, feel the Green Man deck coming in. What messages do you have for this time? From now, January through December, but particularly from now to the period of the new moon and the solstice. Okay, so these came up as 2 cards face down, and the Green Man card, or 2 cards face up from the Oracle deck. Well, they're all Oracle decks, but, and the Green Man card face down, like so. That tells me there are wisdom, empowerment, gifts from this, but we must see past what this is and tune into that more. No, these are the path that will lead to this being revealed. So, where to start? Tuning back in. Really feeling these two together. We have, because as the intuitive way I was called to pull them and throw them, they came out like this. So we have the crown chakra card like this, with this one, listen, on top. And we can see that person there is even wearing a pendant that is the same color, it is the same purple as this crown chakra. Okay. So the first thing that's standing out to me on these cards is the two numbers. That the 7, which the literal number 7 of the crown chakra, and the 2 of the listen, giving us the 9. We are in the 9 year, coming down to the very end of the 9 year, the brass tacks, and the energies of 9, for those of you who don't know, it's about completion, closing out cycles. It's about the harvest of all our hard work. It's about separating the wheat from the chaff, dropping what doesn't serve, and mining that gold out. But it's also about raising to higher spiritual perspectives, and especially in the act of service, of giving for the sake of giving as a divine act. And that is what's coming through, particularly with this 9, it's that to listen to the guidance we receive through the crown chakra, through our connection to whatever your particular view of the universe, the divine, God, a particular deity, whatever word, face, visage you like and connect with and resonates with you deeply. Listen deeply to that. Bring it into your heart space. And that will be your guide. As you especially do through this work of the new vitality. I didn't even realize that, but these two previous cards, they're an 8 and a 1. That's also gives us another 9. Synchronicity. And a 9 and 9, reduce 18 back down to a 9. So we're truly, truly completing old ways of being, stepping into higher perspectives. So coming back to this more recent pull. So as we do this work, as we find our still spaces to open, listen to that higher guidance. And that can be through work like this, through reading our spiritual texts. I'm getting for some of you that actually, for those of you that resonate with the words of the Bible, that there's going to be a lot of wisdom coming in that. And not preaching anything right or wrong, but just getting that there are some of you hearing this, that there's wisdom to find in that particular text and those words. And other spiritual texts as well. The Bhagavad Gita is coming through. So again, follow whatever you're called to. And what else were these saying to us? Okay, so pretty straightforward so far. Listen to your higher guidance. But now, time to reveal what the Green Man card came up. We have the Fern. Aren't these cards cool? There's always those hidden faces in the trees, right? And the plants around us. Well, and the way these came out like this, exactly like this, and then as we turn this over, the first thing that stands out for me is if we see how that looks like the face and then this line coming out here, that sure looks like to me like the wisdom pouring from the mouth of that higher source. And again, looks to me like a stream of water coming down back to our dream spaces, our intuition. So listen, open, connect to what comes through us in these intuitive ways, and then turn to those texts for interpretation, for understanding. The path always comes together and reveals itself. Such a beautiful process. And see, boy, as I look at this, you know, some of these other cards in the Green Man deck, see, find a good one for a good example of this. See, they all have faces on them that are looking at you in some way. But this one, to me, I'm really seeing it as a very firm but loving, fixing gaze. You know, that it's meeting your eyes. And again, very firm but loving, understanding, offering this wisdom, but saying, this is it. It's time to put up or shut up and really surrender and trust. Because there's big, heavy, beautiful work to do. And the alternative is not a place you want to be in. There's a whole other side to reality happening right now that is I don't even want to speak of it and give it any attention and energy. Let's just stay focused on what we need to do. The path is right here. Anything else? Any closing messages? Nope, that is what needed to come through at this time, so we're closing the reading now. But as a reminder, I'll be reading again around the time of the new moon and the solstice for the season of winter. Be reading again sometime at the end of the month for 2026, and that will be general messages like this, but also there will be messages for your specific astrological sign. Tune into that. And for everyone watching this, if this resonated with you, please, of course, do all the things. Like, subscribe, follow, share. In particular, on the Facebook page, I would love to get just 3 more followers so I can hit that 100 mark and do live streams. So if there's anybody else that you know of that may resonate with my page, please spread the word and allow this energy to continue. Energy is most potent when it is exchanged and shared. In grace, humbleness, divine love. Go in peace. Bye.